Are we ready on Roberts?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What are all these papers?
Oh, there's an extra remember for in there.
See this indictment over again. All right. Sorry. Sorry, I was just being salty.
Do you want me to?
All right. This is on for calendar call on Mr. Roberts alone. It looks like this case has been negotiated. Do you want me to read the negotiations out?
I can
Or
tell
you got it? Okay.
Today he's going to be pleading guilty to conspiracy to commit robbery, and battery with use of a deadly weapon resulting in substantial bodily harm. State retains the right to argue, as do we, and the state agrees not to argue for more than 8 to 20 years.
And then all remaining counts will be dismissed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. State, is that all correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Mr. Roberts, is that your understanding of the negotiations?
Yes.
What's your true and full name?
Derrick Roberts.
How old are you? How far did you go in school? So it's fair to say you read, write, and understand the English language. Are you under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or medication today? Do you understand you're being charged with conspiracy to commit robbery, and battery with use of a deadly weapon resulting in substantial bodily harm?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to those 3 charges, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Is anybody forcing you to plead guilty?
No, ma'am.
Are you pleading guilty of your own free will?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that count 1 carries between 1 to 6 years Nevada Department of Corrections, fine up to $5,000, and is probationable? Do you understand that count 2 carries 2 to 15 years Nevada Department of Corrections and is probationable? Do you understand that count 3 also carries 2 to 15 years Nevada Department of Corrections, fine up to $10,000, and is probationable as well? Do you understand that sentencing is strictly up to the court, so nobody can promise you probation, leniency, or special treatment? I have a copy of your guilty plea agreement. On page 6, your name is signed. Did you sign this document?
Yes, ma'am.
Before you did so, did you go over it with your attorney?
Yes, I heard.
Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your attorney answer all your questions before you signed off on this deal?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your attorney or anyone else force or threaten you in any way in order to make you sign off on this deal? Do you understand that you are giving up the constitutional rights listed in this document by pleading guilty? Do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, this plea could result in negative immigration consequences? Did you discuss your case and your rights with your attorney? Any questions for me regarding your case or your rights? The amended third superseding indictment reads as follows. At and within the County of Clark, State of Nevada, on or between January 11th, 2023 and January 21st, 2023, count 1. Defendant Derrick Lamont Roberts with Raven Simone Queen and or Sean Jackson and or Antoine Duffy and or DG and or an unidentified co-conspirator did on or about January 12th, 2023, willfully and unlawfully conspire with each other to commit robbery by the defendant and or other conspirators having phones that are associated with the defendant and various other co-conspirators, engaging in text messages about the target address and a parking location nearby the target address, and or these same phones engaging in addresses of various other co-conspirators and or defendant and or co-conspirators meeting up and driving to the target address and or parking location, and or one or more of the co-conspirators entering the target home to commit the acts as set forth in count 2, said acts being incorporated by this references though fully set forth herein. Thereafter, the co-conspirators fled on foot to their waiting cars to flee the scene, acting in concert throughout. Count 2. Defendant Derrick Lamont Roberts with Raven Simone Queen and or Sean Jackson and or Antoine McDuffie and or DG and or an unidentified co-conspirator did on or about January 12, 2023, willfully and lawfully and feloniously take personal property, to wit, keys, from the person of Cordero Brady or in his presence without the consent and against the will of Cordero Brady, by means of force or violence or fear of injury immediate or future to his person, the member of a family of his, the person of a member of his family, or of anyone in his company at the time of the robbery. Defendant using force or fear to obtain or retain possession of the property, to prevent or overcome resistance to the taking of the property, and or to facilitate escape. The defendants being criminally liable under one or more of the following principles of criminal liability, to wit, 1. Directly committing the crime. 2. Aiding or abetting in the commission of the crime with the intent that the crime be committed by counseling, encouraging, hiring, commanding, inducing, and or otherwise procuring the other to commit the crime. And or 3. Pursuant to a conspiracy to commit this crime with the intent that the crime be committed. Defendants aiding or abetting and or conspiring by having phones that are associated with the defendant and various other co-conspirators engaging in text messages about the target address and a parking location nearby the target address, and or these same phones engaging in the addresses of various other co-conspirators and or defendant and or co-conspirators meeting up and driving to the target address and or parking location, and or one or more of the co-conspirators entering the target home in order to use force to take personal property. Thereafter, the co-conspirators fled on foot to their waiting cars to flee the scene, acting in concert throughout. And then the final one says count 12. Is that supposed to be count 3?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, I will amend that. Defendants Derrick Lamont Roberts with Raven-Symoné Queen and/or Sean Jackson and/or Antoine McDuffie and/or DG and/or an unidentified co-conspirator did on or about January 12, 2023, willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously use force or violence upon the person of another, to wit, Cordero Brady, with the use of a deadly weapon, to wit, a firearm, by shooting at and into the body of the said Cordero Brady with said firearm, resulting in substantial bodily harm to Cordero Brady, the defendants being criminally liable under one or more of the following principles of criminal liability, to wit, 1. Directly committing the crime, and/or 2. Aiding or abetting in the commission of the crime with the intent that the crime be committed by counseling, encouraging, hiring, commanding, inducing, or otherwise procuring the other to commit the crime, and/or 3. Pursuant to a conspiracy to commit this crime with the intent that the crime be committed, defendants aiding or abetting or conspiring by defendants acting in concert throughout. Are those the facts that cause you to plead guilty today, Mr. Roberts? I find there is a factual basis for this plea, and it is freely and voluntarily entered. At this time, we are going to refer the case to the Department of Parole and Probation for preparation of PSI and set it down for sentencing on the following date.
May 15th at 9:30.
All calendar call and trial dates will vacate.
There was a May 8th date that was given earlier that my client would prefer if that's possible.
Can we do May 8th? Is that 40 days? What was the May 8th date? Because we have to give them 45 days exactly.
Yeah.